I believe that Tatas have been very innovative for a long time, but they do their innovation in such a natural way that you don't notice it. It is a characteristic of human attention span that when something becomes a part of your nature, you cease to notice it. And I think that has been the case with the Tata Group. You know, in the old days, people said that the characteristic or differentiated you for success in business would be your access to technology. And there was a great deal of thrust on acquiring technological know-how, whether it was in motive power through steam or through electricity and power generation, or latterly through information technology. Pretty much like a good tennis player goes through the early stages of his development in the game, all the good tennis players, world-class players, achieve parity on technical parameters. And the world of business has also had big players who have achieved pretty close parity in terms of technological parameters. What therefore remains is the ability to innovate at the next level. And if I may say so with no disrespect to technologists, technology is one of the steps on the escalator of innovation. There are other steps. For example, the innovation of a whole revenue model, the innovation of a business system. These are far more difficult to replicate. They are not patentable, but they are very difficult to replicate. And the Tata Group has many such examples from the past and continues to do so in the future. If you look for contemporary examples, I think what Tata Group has done with Eka, the supercomputer, or with Nano, which is yet to hit the market, but conceptually these show the promise of innovating a total business model rather than just a technological breakthrough. There are 3 or 4 dimensions to innovation, and you also have to be able to define what innovation is. Let me deal with the latter first. There is a popular perception that innovation is something which no man has ever thought of, and that it has changed the whole world. I think these are relative. There are such innovations, I do admit. But innovation, at the heart of it, has to be something that is unique to a particular context, and that is innovation. So if a smokeless chula can be made for a rural consumer in India, you may say that that may not win the Nobel Prize, though there is no reason why it shouldn't, but it is definitely a huge innovation. And indeed, the award of the Nobel Prize to for the Grameen Bank, Muhammad Yunus, is a very clear example that the world is recognizing that innovation is contextual. The second thing about innovation is that it has to do something which is much larger than the invention itself. It must do what innovation means, which is applied invention is innovation. So what is it applied to? It is applied to society. It must do something good for a large number of people. And the examples of that are very many around us. So if you apply these 2 parameters, we are indeed trying to develop not necessarily things that will be patented 100 times over and prevent other people from entering those, but in a rather more open way to see how quickly can we deliver those benefits to people. For example, the innovation of the Ginger hotels is an example of taking a good idea but repackaging it in a manner which becomes highly relevant to a group of people, and in this case a very large number of people, and meet a consumer need. The ability to take a common commodity, something that you just take for granted, like common salt, packaging it and making it India's largest and most respected food brand, and developing a whole ecology of a business system around it, is a huge innovation which we tend not to focus upon because we just take it for granted. And I think Tata Group is trying to innovate not only on these areas, but I should add, for completeness, innovate in certain areas of social entrepreneurship as well. The innovations being attempted right now with the Tata Udyog Parva or the Tata International Social Entrepreneurship Scheme are examples of the kind of things that in the future might be seen as having made a very significant difference to the whole area of social entrepreneurship. I think the group, while collectively we are innovative, we have not so far as well democratized our innovation. I'm a great believer that human nature, God has made all of us as innovative. The day a child is born, the child is innovative. Just like the child is curious, the child has all the good attributes. And then the various social and educational systems in which children are raised starts to dim all these natural instincts. If we can restore people back to their very basic core nature, then I think curiosity, innovativeness, tinkering around and doing new things will come back. In the case of a 140-year organization like ours, we obviously have layers and layers of systems and cultural DNA embedded in the very way we work. And I think where we need to improve is in trying to peel those off and democratize innovation so that more and more people feel that innovation is the core of their job. That's what they are paid for. It doesn't matter whether they are raising invoices or loading trucks or working in a research lab. If I may say so, there are two ways in which an organization can promote innovation. One is trying new things, introducing new systems to help people innovate, putting new processes. And the second is simply to focus on removing obstacles. And I think, certainly as far as we are concerned in the Tata Group, if we can just remove the obstacles, the natural propensity of people will flower forth in a way which will really amaze all of us in Tatas. And that would be my hope for the future.